Welcome everyone, today it is time to introduce another monster in Dragon Quest Monsters, the Dark Prince, a traditional DQ monster that always gives me a hell of a hard time whenever I meet them, and unsurprisingly, they are also an absolute menace in DQM3. Give a round of applause to the infamous Bodkin Archer. A lot of you have asked for more synthesis that's not particularly super high level and are just damaging monsters, but also more supportive or fill the buff/debuff role, and the Bodkin Archer is the ultimate annoying debuffer on your team that can still give a fair amount of useful status to your monsters. Let's see how. For additional Dragon Quest content, check out the rest of the channel, as I have tons of guides and synthesis videos that might help you get even more ideas. So the Bodkin Archer is a super early monster you can synthesize. It is actually only a G rank monster, so very easy to get it in early game, but despite that, every single trait of theirs is amazing and brings a lot of value all the way to even in endgame. The very first trait, Insta-Accel, gives you a chance to gain Accelerate at the beginning of the battle. This is a fairly RNG ability, but when it happens it can be quite useful to give out buffs to yourself, and once you gain full access to its abilities, Insta-Accel can give you a bit of a head start to fully unleash your strategy. Next is Bigger Upper, the first fixed trait that always gets triggered, and when the Bodkin buffs their allies, this trait will also give an additional random effect to them to have invincibility, reflect spells or breath attacks, or raise evasion while also extending buffs to last 5 turns. A really useful trait considering you can use a party-wide buff and give bonus defenses to everyone on the party, and all of these effects are extremely useful. Finally, the main reason the Bodkin Archer is an absolute menace, the personal grudge trait that upon the Bodkin's defeat, the Bodkin fully debuffs the enemy monster that landed the killing blow with guaranteed attack, defense, agility and wisdom down, and most importantly, a full 1-turn stun. This final revenge from the Bodkin gives your team edge over the enemy, especially if they are a singular boss enemy or a large monster in the opposing team, as in that case, it acts as a team-wide debuff almost. As you can see, this combination of the Bodkin makes it a valuable ally whether it is alive or dead, and fortunately, we also have a very easy to acquire defensive talent tree that guarantees the Bodkin to excel in combat and be useful, and that is the Defender talent tree that you can get from very early monsters like the Leery Louts from the Circle of Conquest. The Defender talent tree provides very basic buffs to the Bodkin that they can use from party-wide buff, blinding the enemies or self-defense of the Bodkin, but the main reason this is the chosen talent tree, despite it not being the meta best buffing talent, is the Selflessness final ability. Selflessness allows the Bodkin to absorb all damage from the whole team for a round on itself, but in exchange it will take increased damage that most likely will be fatal to itself. But considering we have the personal grudge trait that is to our benefit, even more so it is our goal. This is the ability we can always use on the Bodkin to guarantee a full debuff on the enemy with an additional 1-turn stun alongside it. Sounds pretty awesome, right? Super annoying to handle, and it's also a really good PvP monster to have in your team, but if this wasn't enough and you might think just one round of debuffs and the stun is not worth it, the ultimate combination for the Bodkin Archer is to combo it together with a large-sized Serpent of the Scales on your team that can revive a fallen teammate once every battle thanks to its Last Grasp trait that it gets if it's a large-size monster, and this badass combo of the Dragon and the Bodkin will allow you to absorb all party-wide damage twice every battle and also stun the enemy twice thanks to your Bodkin being revived after its first sacrifice. I love this monster combination in my team and I really can recommend it for everyone to try it out, but since I don't have a Serpent of the Scales guide available yet, if you're also interested in that monster to have a guide, let me know down below in the comments. Okay, now that was quite a lengthy introduction, but hopefully it convinced you of the usefulness of the Bodkin Archer, so now let's see how to synthesize it down. And like I said, it is only a G rank monster, so it won't take too long, especially if you're later in the game. So while we're taking a look at this chart, know that you can download the full HD version of it for your own use on my Twitter as usual, so feel free to check that out. But basically, as you see, the synthesis requires only one advanced monster fusion, which is the Cucumber that can get pretty complicated thanks to the Bambooligan synthesis that I have another chart for, the Hunter Mech chart, which I recommend to completely ignore unless you are really adamant about synthesizing your Bodkin very early in the game, as the Bambooligan can be scouted later in the middle echelons of the Circle of Fortitude during spring, so a lot easier than having to synthesize down multiple monsters. The other monsters you will require are the Capsicum you can get from the very beginning of the game in Terrestria, and the G-Rank Pixie that is a simple synthesis of a slime and a Drakey, but frankly, I don't know if you can scout a Pixie yourself, I haven't met them anywhere in the game. Following this simple synthesis chart, you just combine your Cucumber and your Pixie, and you get yourself a nice Bodkin Archer, ready to annoy your enemies. I mentioned this earlier, but the only requirement for the Bodkin is to have a Defender talent for Selflessness, which you can acquire easily from a Leery Lout in the Circle of Conquest during summer, so just scout one fast, then synthesize them together, and you're pretty much done. Finally, do not mix the Bodkin Archer with other Bodkins you can meet later in the game. As far as I know, this is also a unique synthesis and they cannot be scouted anywhere, but in case someone finds them somewhere, also let us know down below, but I haven't met them anywhere in the game so far. So that is it for a quick introduction to a supportive buffer/debuffer for Dragon Quest monsters, the Bodkin Archer, one of my favorite iconic monsters from the series honestly, and I'm really happy they are so good in monsters, considering they are traditionally an annoying enemy type, so it just really fits to have the personal grudge trait on them and gives them so much utility. Let me know if the Bodkin Archer is an enemy you really like or not, and if you're planning to use it in your team, and of course, do not forget to let me know if you'd also be interested in the Serpent of the Skill Synthesis Guide, as I'm also ready to create one for it in case there is demand. Thank you all for your support everyone, love all the Dragon Quest appreciation recently, so I'll try to ride the momentum as much as possible with even more synthesis charts and useful monsters videos. Take care everyone, thank you for watching, and I'll see you all the next time.